When I was spoofing successfully test wife to say that 1 year after another both of them gave me gladly. Graduation of daughter also found the only pride of such wife also. I had been in the order in which coming soon. K is toward me, was referred to as he left the school without knowing anything such thing as a woman. K is a daughter, that's flower arrangement dano sewing needle dano kodo you are training in addition to academic. It did not seem as if placed in the eye. I was Yari laughing as carelessly. Then the value of the woman has repeated the old argument that not the one which is in such a place. Also in front of him. He otherwise did not even refute it. State that instead indeed did not even show. There to me was the pleasant. His tone, such as droppings. Because we still seem to despise the woman. The lady that I know of as a woman representative. Because I do not think with a number. When the retrospective from now. Jealousy for my K is already enough at that time. It was Mo. I talked to K of going to somewhere to summer vacation. K was to show the full mouth that does not want to go. Of course he is not a body can go to anywhere in their own free will. But I was a body that no problem be carried out as long as invitation. Also to anywhere. I tried to ask him why do not want to go. He is that it is not anything reason. If you read the books in the home it is you that's their own selfish. If I was studying in a cool place to go to summer resort it is. And argue that because of the body. Well you that intends very well once you have made me one person. But I do not bring myself to go. Leaving one person K here. I used to those of K and the home even for free is looking at going to become increasingly intimate. It was not a very good mood. I had become as the first choice. Is it up if it's said to do with whether to bad my mood? I am no difference to fool. His wife and McCain to see two people of the discussion that does not stick of play is entered into the relationship. We now are finally go together to Boshu. 28. K was a man who does not appear to so much travel. I also Boshu was the first time. They do not know anything. I was landed from where the ship arrived to the best destination. What I described certainly Yasuda year. I do not know whether matter how hen by now. And that time was a terrible fishing village. I first anywhere nor kind regards Namagusai. Then enter the sea. Is pushed down by the waves. No it immediately hand on o feet I the peel rub. Is rubbed to wave a large stone crashing like a fist. We are all the time rumble. I became immediately hate. But K is not also good and bad. By at least with face it was one of calm. Its habit is he did not have it to not hurt somewhere in aesthetic entering the sea. I finally half persuaded him. Went from there to Tomiura. We moved from also in Nago Tomiura. All because this coast was the place to gather students from the hour and minute in heavy. Anywhere we was just affordable beaches. Sitting on top of the K and I often rocky coast. We view the distant sea in color. The bottom of the near water. Water looked down from the rocks also were those specially clean. They were the color of the red color Dono I. Usually, small fish that was the color that does not climb to the market. The swimming in fro in the crystal clear waves have been Ubisosa vividly. I sat there, was well spread the book. K is the person who has often remained silent without doing anything. What I'd have indulged in thinking it, whether depicts of weather, or the favorite imagination or fascinated to the scenery. I did not know at all. I sometimes raised the eye. I heard that he what are you doing in K? K was the only answer by it and not doing anything. I am one that is sitting in cogito to their own buckwheat. And Naku, K. In that there was a well I think it would be no doubt amusing you were young lady. That I still say if only. But sometimes the outdoubt who ran and I wonder not to be a person of K sitting on a rock holding a similar hope with me. Then, with falls that are spread the book there will suddenly hate. I will rise to unexpectedly. Then yelling out loud uninhibited. Coherent poem Dono that lacks such as Ginzaru to interesting that the S song I cannot. But it howls of the as of barbarians. One time I was jerking from behind his collar neck suddenly. In this way I heard K saying, "What if butt dropped into the sea?" K did not work. Remains backward. It was just good. Answer me to do. I was released immediately. Hand with reduced neck. Nervous breakdown of the K is for seems to have been this time another Oida well. At the same in inverse proportion. Am I the person who had become increasingly irritable? I saw K that is attached fallen from their own. Was shy envy. In addition, we shy hateful. He is because did not show a creepy to just stay me. To me it was reflected as a kind of self-confidence. But where were recognized for their confidence in him. But I was not satisfied in any way. My suspicion is out to one step before. Wanted to give up their properties. For he became business becomes academic. I wonder became a mood that took back again the hope of prospects to advances the future of their own. Simply if only it. I do not mean that occur of what the impact the interests of K with me. I am something much I am delighted the contrary. There was a care works Kai. But if it is for the daughter of his peace of mind if I never become not be able to forgive him. Strange to him also seemed to not at all aware of the Motofu who loves my daughter. Of course I also though it was not contrived behaves like stick to the eye of K. K is originally of when a dull person subjected to such a point. Since I have had a peace of mind that if the first from K all right. He was brought all the way to the home. 29. I have my mind to take the plunge tried to Uchiha Ko to K. However this is I did not even mean that began at that time. Before the not out on a journey. But to me I was not able to such a belly. Also be my all the bitterness opportunity to confide. Also to create the opportunity. My view did not floor well and cleanly. When I think from now on, that time I will of man who was around was all strange. Intrusive talking about a woman such as the ones would have had Oida also do not have the seeds to speak in, which did not have even one person. But it was so that ordinary or silent also have though, breathing a relatively free air if you see because now you have to. Sadameshi will be strange to think, whether it is more than learning of the one of the Dagaku, or a kind of shy of the judgment will leave up to you of understanding. K and I did in the Hanashia Eru anything. Problem or something loved Toka loved even. But was not climbed to the mouth. Was only false to the abstract theory at any time. It even I did not become a topic in the rarely. Usually a story of academic and story of the book. And the future of the business. And aspirations. It was not fully of in about talk of cultivation. How much Shideshiku, and on the day that this happens firm also is not intended Kuzuseru a sudden tone. Only make friends and nari two people just hard. I am from Omoida trying Uchiakeo that of the daughter to K. Does not know what cursory impatient if it were uncomfortable annoyed. I break through somewhere one place of the head of K. I felt that I went as blown into the soft air from there. Do you have time to me of the highly ridiculous thing even I look because I was actually large. Difficult. I was cowardly in the same way as when I was in the home is also on the road. Well I have been observing the K in mind to capture all the time opportunity. You strangely could not also be to do Koto specific to his attitude. And to say to me, it was also good as the surroundings of his heart was hardened coating heavy with black lacquer. Blood to be my poured bed is. A drop also does not enter into the heart. It would be entirely Haji Kakesa, since sometime has a higher strong appearance of too much K. I have also be relieved rather. Then together with regret their doubt in the belly. In the same belly. I apologize to K. It looks like your own is very subhuman man while apology. I become suddenly unpleasant mood. However, when early days, in the back earlier suspicion is also, Yukamuchi Kayashi strongly, because of it all is indexed from suspicion. All was a disadvantage for me. Appearance also seemed to be more of K is liked by woman. Where nature not be fussy like me, you were probably going to love the opposite sex. and is missing between somewhere. Even so, somewhere certainly interests some of manly place points. It looked dominant than me. Professional, what different if in academic achievement? But I was aware that it is not the enemy, of course. K. When all only good thing about over there outlook distracting way to the I destination at a time. I am return immediately. Original anxiety was a little peace of mind. K is not attached, felt a look at my situation. I was saying the time being good to return to Tokyo if disagreeable. But when it is said so, I no longer want to go back to steep. In fact, it may be that I did not want attributed the K to Tokyo. We went out to the other side and traveling around the nose of Boshu. While we were in a hot day, and a painful thought, while being deceived there, Ichisato of Kazusa walked noon. To me it is about meaning walking, and so did not know though. I was so good to joke half K. Then K replied, and I walk because there's a foot. Then comes hot. The say they are about to go into the sea. Was mash easy re to anywhere may not tide. Thereafter, the also strong teretsuks because you are in the day. The body is now guta guta is rather malaise. 30. When walking in the like this, naturally, in the heat and fatigue, is what the health of the body come crazy though different from the disease suddenly into the other body. My soul is a Yatakawa mood. It comes to something like was. While I handed the street K in the mouth of hero, somewhere now away from the hero of Muden, friendly against him, even hatred also. A special property that only during the journey I became the wind take on. That is for two people as heat. Because of the tide, also for walking, Will was able to enter into a new relationship that is different from the conventional. We as if become a companion. At that time it was like quotient tagyo. Matter how much talking to be different from the usual. Did not touch the complicated problem to use the head. We're but I went at last to Choshi at this rate. We cannot forget the journey. There was only one exception to now. Before you still do not leave the Boshu. Two people in a place called Kominato. Was the sights of Urasibrim. You have another life also compelling past. It because the thing to me is not so much interested. But do not remember is ascertained. Anything there was a story or something. The village where was born of Nichiren. On the day of birth of Nichiren. See Bremer too. Are you become a tradition or something had been launched into the tale ISO. Because of it since the village of fishermen has led to the now hesitate to take the sea bream. Sea bream we're a lot on the back. We're you toy the boat. We went out to sea all the way to the sea bream. At that time I was just watching the waves on one figure. Then the color of the sea bream, which was not a little purple to move in that wave. It looked not red as one of the interesting phenomenon. But K looks to those which could not have interested in it as I am. He seems like I had imagined in my head towards the contrary of Nichiren than the sea bream. Just there was a temple that Tanjoji in there. Because the village was born of Nichiren with those with a name even as Tanjoji. Was a splendid cathedral. K was out referred to as you have met him, and the chief priest of temple went to the temple. To tell the truth, we had a strange attire lot. In particular result K is blown away to see the hat for the wind. Had suffered Bata Sugagasa. Kimono had become stinking with sweat on that bleeding dirt both from solid. I say try elsewhere to meet. Such as monk is. K does not hear because it is stubborn. If hate you that I only Iro waiting outside. Although I took the entrance together from not be helped. In one of the heart I thought that there must surely be stated. However, unexpectedly such thing as a monk but polite. Through us to a wide respectable parlor. Gave me immediately met, because I of the hour and minute was different as K and Oida thought. It seems did not occur even bother to tilt the so ear to the discourse of the monk and K. K had frequently heard of Nichiren. Nichiren then much is said to be grass Nichiren. When the cursive script is monk was said to have been very well. Clumsy K of the character is. What it was a face that's silly I still remember. K rather than such a thing. Would you wanted to know Nichiren of deeper meaning? Monk is in doubt whether to satisfy the K at that point, but he exits the precincts of the temple. Began to so-and-so the frequently that of Nichiren toward me. I am tired and hot, because was not far from it. Just had been a sloppy greeting at the mouth of the first at even I at length got quite silently become troublesome. Certainly I think that of the next evening. But the two of them eating the rice arrived to the inn. Began to each other discussed from getting a little before that you already go to bed. Suddenly difficult problem. K is for yesterday that of Nichiren that spoke from the direction of their own. I did not Toriawa. Was not happy about. Mentally it is that there is no ambition to say that it is stupid. But somehow the talk down like me or else frivolous ones. However, because I of the chest has Wadakama is that of the daughter. Do not go to the translation to receive his contempt in the words close just laughed. I began to excuse me. 31. Within that time I used the word frequently humane, K the word that this decent. I view that as hiding all of their weaknesses. Given later indeed, whereas say the K. I have but the no humane meaning began to use that word in order to convince the K. Because the departure point was already rebellious. Cannot afford, such as to reflect on it. His theory I am still of that I insisted. Then I K to listen to me and how that is not like a human being and may bitterness anywhere of him. I told him, he might decent of it, or to humanity, but only the mouth of the earlier he refers to things like not like a human being. In addition he is trying to behave as not humane. When I say this, because he just their own cultivation not enough. Only answered that might seem so to the other. I did not try to refute me. I rather than hurry I was missing. Now rather sorry. I've rounded up their immediately discussion. His tone also came sinking gradually. If I know the old people as know of him, it was with chosen to say that would not to do such attack. The old man was in K of the mouth. Is not even in the hero must be in the coarse hero. Or oppress the meat for the soul. I refer to the people of the so-called do penance or struck with the body for the road. K to me. I do not know whether he is suffering from how much for the. Was it clear that it is really a shame? K and I ended up sleeping at law. Then returned to the attitude of also ordinary peddler from the next day that I was out walking with unown sweat. But I was reminded to hire that of the road people that night. I wished to have good opportunities, not even on this was given. Why, you pretend you do not know I was burning contrition. Just in case that probably was Yarasugashi it. Instead of using an abstract word humane, I was reminded that it was good once confided a simple story a more straightforward decay. To tell the truth, even I have to create those words. Because my feelings for the daughter that I had become a foundation. Then the blowing in theory, left over by distillation of the fact the ears of K. The form of the original the person who was exposed as it is to the front of his eye. Would have been certainly benefit to me. I could not it. To the friendly of two people who study the relationship constitutes a trend. Because there was inertia of a kind from the self. Courage of only break through it to take the plunge was missing me. You confessed here that to say that was only affectation, but would be the same to say that vanity was tata, meaning or something vanity toka take I say I feel is, usually and is a little different, if it is even true to you. I am satisfactory. We went back to Tokyo turned black. When I returned at hand my mood is also human like toka. Korikutsu or something is not like a human being did not remain almost in the head. State seems to religious also K is no longer visible at all. Probably where the problem of how the spiritual meet copper also of his heart would not have dwells at that time. Two people in the face like a different race. I looked round and round the Tokyo that looks busy. Then come to the two countries. We each ammo to hot. K is for that go home to walk to Koishikawa in its momentum. Since you it is strong me than K speaking from physical strength. I was depending immediately. When I got to the house, His wife was surprised at the sight of two people. It not only just the color turned black, varied to one that has been blindly walking. I got skinny. His wife is a bit. Even Mimi award saying became a strong likely. Daughter was to laugh or to say that the contradiction of his wife is wrong. I also that week was sometimes standing belly. Only at that time was a jolly mood. If there is to that case, I would blame her in a long time. 32. I noticed in my knot it only has hen a little before the daughter of attitude. We came back from a long time in the journey to the until it passes off of hero. Needed a woman's hand for everything but I. Anyway wife is to the care. And the daughter is all ahead at me. I look like a K to a Tomowashi. Has been do it bluntly. I was also annoying it might be. In some cases. But I think it would not have could cause even rather unpleasant. Just in case. Because the conduct of the daughter was getting very way at that point. I was glad. That young lady is only me as can be seen. It was me addressed to assign to the kindness of the extra person of my inborn. So K has had in cold blood without also separately unpleasant face. I song secretly against him in mine though was frequently paid. We also now that must attend to the work tasks of the school from the middle of the 9 soon be. Past summer, K and I has been able to also slow the appointed time of out in the convenience of their own time. I was there about 3 times a week when you go home late than K. But time also became a shadow of the daughter to never admit to the chamber of K back. K is towards the eye of example to me. That what now back was repeated as a rule. My bow was also the most simple and meaningless as the instrument. I think mid certainly in October. I as a result of the overslept. You may be going out to school in a hurry while the Japanese clothing, chew on woo because even regrettable. Time that has signs such as on a hen. I was jumping out now multiplied erect the sandals. When that day say from the timetable towards me then K had become supposed to go back to the previous. When I come back, it opened erratically the entrance of the lattice in the going voice of K, which I thought not when I heard pop. At the same time laughter daughter was sound in my ears. I do not have to wear all the time-consuming labor shoes as. Open the sliding door of the partition up immediately to the front door. I saw a K that are sitting in front of the street desk of example. But Mrs. I was not in there anymore. I did if it were only admitted glance subsequent appearance lead to exit escape from the chamber of K. I question whether the returned why early to K. K replied and he rested because there is bad mood. When I'm sitting as it is entered in my room. They told me to come soon daughter have tea. At that time daughter has a greeting to me to say that the first time you leave. I am not a why man was you in here. Such as drainage do run away a little while ago with a laugh. Yet it is somehow of that it was a human being. Such as take care in the belly. Daughter is I have to go to toward the sutiage standing immediately seat. However remain standing in front of K of the chamber. I was talking with within and outside a few words. It gave color continuation of while I go. But I do not listen to before did not know though. Among them daughter of attitude came become increasingly calm. K and even when I'm in the house together, have called his name came well K to the chamber of the veranda. Then enter into it. It had been slowly. It is also possible of course bring the mail. Because it is also the yuku at the laundry. That much of the traffic is two people on the relationship you are in the same house. But you will not have to look for granted. The by all means daughter I have that have been moved to the intensachinen that you want to own. Is really if it seemed to naturally or more. A time to avoid the daughter will come all the way to my room. But much was even that seems to go to just those of K. Well why not have my out of the home to K you will hear. But just will not stand the motive that I came pulling force at K if so. I have I can not. 33. It was the day when a cold and rainy of November. Though I K Chambers went back to the house up a narrow slope missing the street Konjac Enma. Example wet the cloak was the emptiness. fresh fire joint in the brazier was burning too warm likely. I also wanted to kazaso on top of the early red charcoal. Cold hands opened the partition of his room in a hurry. Then my brazier only cold ashes left in white. The spark we even have run out. I became suddenly unpleasant. At that time did come out to hear my footsteps. Was his wife. His wife looked at me standing in the middle of the room in silence. Sorry, likely or me undress the cloak. Was or me dress Japan clothes. Then listen to me, is that cold? They told me to bring a brazier of K from just next room. IK as if you have heard that or go home was the replied his wife went out or back. Since that day also K's was a timetable to return late than me. I think that what was or why. His wife had said that probably could be in the majority errands. I did a browse while sitting there for a while, and in the home has subsided and died. While you do not hear anyone of speech, and of the early winter of cold and woe bias, I felt like biting into my body. I was rising face down immediately book. I felt like I suddenly go to the bustling station. The rain seems to have finally sushi, but since the sky looked heavy and still as cold lead, I as a precaution, is responsible to shoulder the bull's eye. Was down the hill to the east for the earthen wall at the back of the artillery arsenal. Since the hour and minute is a time that still cannot be amendment of the road. The slope of the hill was a much steeper than it is now. Road width is also narrow. It was not straight. When descend thereon to that valley, in the south are occupied by tall buildings, and the water discharge is not good. Traffic was muddy, is between that particular out across the narrow stone bridge to the street of the Willow Cho. It did not outrageous. No snow to the translation to walk blindly in boots and high clogs. Anyone a place where nature and elongated mud in the middle of the road were pushed aside. We must go traced with utmost devotion. Its width is only 1. 2, since long I only have, is the same thing as coast toward stepping on top of the band that is laid in traffic without hand. Those who go will pass through soon, everyone is in a row. I am on this narrow band. We encounter in Hitari and K. I had been distracted only towards the foot. To face with him, he had not noticed like an existence. When I was unexpectedly raised by chance because front of him was blocked. It was admitted K standing for the first time in there. I've heard what went to where K was a little law, such as up there. His answer was the tone that as usual droppings. K and I were to exchange the body on top of the narrow band. Then the immediate one of the young woman behind the K is standing. I saw. I have myopia, but it was not well known until now. After you have come to do K, and see the face of the woman, because it was the daughter of the house. I was surprised not a little. Daughter is in the mood, thin red face, was the greeting to me. The western hairdo of the hour and minute is not yet out eaves. Unlike now, thus is what had been wound round and round like a snake in the middle of the head. I was idly looking at the head of the daughter, but in the next moment, I noticed the fact that he must see Witcher Road. I am 1 foot ventured into the muddy, was narrowing stepped on. Then at a relatively as easy to place, was Yari past the daughter. Then I no longer know even good if he went to wherever you came out to the street of Yanagimachi. Does it have mood, such as not interesting wherever you go? I will not. Maybe the rise of Hydro was without hesitation walked through the new Karusi in desperation. Then came home to immediately home. 34. I explained that I came back to Sureda because I met by chance in that Ford the K that I've heard what came out together, and the daughter replied that there is no case. Masago the town. I had to refrain from questions intrusive more than that. But when the meal, also toward the daughter, I wanted over the same question. Then daughter is to laugh the way of my hate example. Then you say at length and dare to tay in or when anywhere. Of that time, because I could have still temper, stood as when handled from so frivolous young woman belly. However, there to the gas the stick is. If the same among those that have arrived at the table I was one wife, K would rather it was okay. Daughter of attitude. You know what do on purpose. What do the innocent do not know? There's distinction. There was a point where not got Jodo ascertained. Although the daughter was more thoughtful as a young woman. Also the young common my dislike to the woman. I was also not think if you there. Otherwise it's just like Tay is. Come from K is to the home. Is the first time began to arrive in my eye. I saw it or not good ascribes to my jealousy against K. Or the daughter of finesse to my douche out to appropriate thing. Hesitated a little separation. I will never bother to cancel my jealousy at that time still. As I've often repeated, obviously the work of this sentiment on the back of love conscious have had to because you. And when viewed from those of near, the trifle that do not have enough to take most. Because this feeling was surely the ones to lift the neck. Although this is a leisure tasks. Half of such jealousy as love would not it. From I married, this sentiment was aware of the go gradually faded away. The is not never fiercely like the original also towards instead affection. My mind that had been hesitant until then. I figured out whether you try out G to the opponent's chest with one thought. I do not have a daughter because the other party is that of his wife. I was thinking whether I will open a Kurero a daughter with obvious dampan too. But while so decided, you day by day and I went to extend the decisive action of the day. When the say so I looks like a really indecisiveness man. Also, but it does not matter visible. Actually I have the advance could have is not for there was a lack in willpower. Among common K's. Put up that I do not want to write and the other hand is held down at me. It was so as not to move an inch. After that came of K's. I doubt that either would not then there is attention towards daughter of K possibly began to constantly win me. If you really daughter is tilting the heart to K then I. This love is worthless to begin to say to the mouth and I had been decided. And because such a painful brought humiliate you the difference is a little translation. Even if you think how much in here. Beyond listen, if you are pouring the love of the eye to other people. I will become together in such a woman I unpleasant. Although in the world there willy-nilly some people once happy I got married a woman who was his own good. If either man was of definitely world shifted from us. Otherwise the Donbutsu the love of psychology is not well namikomen things. But I was thinking at the time, in Tetsuri of about thing that attach fall whether this or once you got one time. I was hot enough it cannot be aware of. In other words I was extremely lofty love of theorists. It was actually home at the same time the most roundabout love. The bottom line of the daughter. The opportunity to confide things that this me directly. How can came out from time to time in the 1 year together along. I deliberately have avoided it, as is Japanese custom, aware that the kind of thing he is not allowed. There was strong in my time that, but it never says that just has bound me it. Japanese, especially young woman of Japan. If such is what poor courage of only eat without refrain from the street that I thought of myself. Without danger to the opponent and I had expected. 35. When I like afternoon nap at the wrong time of paralyzed was not. The body cannot be advanced also towards either direction, in such a reason. To look ascertained what the surrounding woke up only I. Just the hands and feet if you do not work you have. I felt secretly the suffering that sometimes say oh. Now in the spring in the inner year late. Wife one day it may be such or not brought someone friends because do karu tata K. Then, because K is immediately answered that it is not even one person mystery friend. His wife was totally surprised. Friends of the more say friends indeed K is I did not have one person. When I met with traffic, while much of what the greeting there was little. I was not a handle to take thereof, and the like dat never playing cards. While his wife was again called a what if come calling it s also what I know of was. Because I also unfortunately not accustomed to the mood that such a hilarious play. It was a sloppy namahenji. doing out Okima did, however. And K is the night I have been finally pulled to the daughter. To anyone not come, even tourists. It was proposed by an exceedingly quiet because it is playing cards that try to take in only confidentially of the small number of people. K that does not put to do that on this kind of game was the same as the people who are like the food Kokoro. I integrally with the K was asked whether they know the song of the poem card game. K replied, not well known. Daughter heard my words. Will took even when you despise the majority K. I began to caustic of K and then to stand in the eye. At length it has become a plight that hit me, become a little set of two people. I did not may have started the fight as depending on the opponent. Attitude. Fortunately K did not change even a little. The first I was able to round up safely place. That was not recognized him of where the customer also seems to state. Then 2 or 3 days later things could wax after. His wife and daughter had left the house to say go to the place of relatives who are in Ichigaya. From morning. Since K also did time I also do not yet start of school. It was left in a caretaker same after. Since I was also not one to appear to be a walk read a book. Just I was thinking it was supporting the side and coagulation put the elbow on the edge of the vaguely brazier. K, whicher next to the room did not even make a echo sound. It was quiet enough not know I not whether I'm even with both. However this kind of thing, because I was indescribably not separately uncommon as a relationship of two people. I could not bear even to otherwise care about it, is around 10 o'clock. K has looked at each other and I opened the partition of sliding doors unexpectedly. He stood on the threshold. I heard that what you're thinking to me. I did not have anything thinking as well. If was thinking if. Might was always of the street daughter is a problem. But also it comes with eating of course his wife to the daughter. Like a man forced shalt cut off the K itself in recently. Around round and round in my head. I have to complicate this issue. I was postponed K and face. While not am fain until now aware of as a kind of obstacle. We obviously did not go to the translation to answer when you do so. I still was silent looking at his face. Then come into determinedly to my parlor from the direction of K. I sit in front of the brazier that I hit. I will get rid immediately both elbow from the edge of the brazier. Was to urge mood it towards the K. K began a story that does not suit as usual. Wife and daughter are you that probably went to anywhere in the Ichigaya. I largely replied what place aunt. K here's also what the hell is the aunt. I was taught also that it is wife of the soldier. Then the woman of the beginning of the year is usually the 15th day, though it is over. Why do you question and probably went out so early? I did not have a way out than to greet and do not know why it is. 36. K did not quite stop the story of his wife and daughter. At length is listening to it I also intrusive. Such is not answer. I was struck by the wonder sensitive then cumbersome. Before I recalling his time, which spoke to two people to the problem from the direction of. I'm just not help but notice the place which is hand of his tone. Such a thing only I finally why only today I say had asked him whether. At that time he was shut up suddenly. But I was gazing at the mouth of the meat tied his is moving to obtain Chan. He was originally reticent man. If you going to say something from here out, there was a habit to be good around the mouth mumbles before you say. In a place that does not open easily to rebel against his lips deliberately of his will. Has muffled even the weight of his words was the probably will. Once in when the voice is out to beat the mouth, there was a double of the strong force than the normal person in his voice. When a little look at his mouth, I was with immediately cans and do not come out of something. Whether it is really what the preparation of the you my hunch did not like. So surprised was I, from his ponderous mouth, try to imagine my time that has been confided the painful love for his daughter. I is like being fossil at once for his magic stick, served to munching the mouth even. Am I to have become not, shall I say the fear of lumps at that time? or let's say the painfulness of lumps. It was after all one of the lumps. From his head like a stone or iron to toe it was suddenly hard. It was stiff enough even lost elasticity to the breathing. The state did not last long fortunately. I after a moment also has regained human-like mood. Then, I thought that was Sue immediately blunders. I thought that was scooped ahead. But sorting that trying to do it the former does not happen though. It will could afford only probably happen. I was not moving to put up with the coagulation sweat creepy emanating from the armpit that Toru. The bleeding in underwear. K is cut between them as usual heavy mouth. Masuyuki to confided my heart piecemeal. I did not accumulate Denkarushi-ku. Perhaps the agony, like a big gad, but I think I would have each other are stuck in the letter that interest ascertained on my face. How much K even there I do not is supposed to not tell the mind. He is also in his, because to concentrate all to myself, well I did not have time to pay attention to, such as facial expressions. His confession had been through in the same tone from the beginning to the end. Heavy and dull instead. It gave me the feeling that does not move is a very easy thing. While my heart has heard the confession half, because we have been constantly disturbed in what sense that you try what can I do half, but was similar and hardly enter into the ear comes to a fine point. But still words that put to his mouth only the tone was sounded in a strong chest for this purpose. I not only went pain before, I sometimes began to feel the horror of a kind. That opponent is the sense of fear that he's stronger than he began to bean sprouts. When the story of K is it done one way, I was not able to say anything. Here also I wonder what in front of him was the confession of the same meaning. Or do would be a good idea to who you are without confided. I am not was silent thinking of such interests. But it did not say nothing happened. Also I did not even bother to say. When the horse diet, K and I were accounted for seat and face to face. Made to ask them to the waiter. I have finished the bad rice is not in time. I did not even listen to most mouth during a meal. Wife and daughter did not know when or I go home. 37. The K of quiet things that did not fit the law face that was taken back to their room was the same as in the morning. I was also not pensive in coagulation. I thought of course that it should confide his heart to K. But it took place also feel that had soon as delayed. Why block the words of well ago K? What did not counterattack from here? There came looks like a great tailory. At least followed after the K. Yourself if you wait too long in the talk as I think of myself on the spot. Was also considered Niwataro still good. And now that with the settle down to K confession. Here from also cut out the same thing. It was strange even if what thought. I did not know how to overcome this unnatural. My head was loose and rocked in contrition. To be continued. Thank you for your viewing. If you like please subscribe to the channel. I am very encouraged.